Hi, all curious minds. In the last couple of weeks, I had the opportunity to learn about a new observability and a security tool. Uh, and when I used it and learned more about its toolset, I was more and more excited about what else it can do. But I will not talk about them in this video. So maybe I had more time to learn about toolings or I have more experience in observability, but I found out that what is easy to understand for me around security and observability may not so evident to others. In this video, I try to share my view, which can help you learn more and even quicker when you're facing with a new tool. So, what is observability? Well, every tool has its own definition, and I will leave some example in a blog post that will I put in the description about this topic. So basically, you will be able to see the transcript on my site for this slides. My approach is a bit different and it doesn't really connect to a specific or a concrete tool or tools. So, what observability means to me? So, let's see. I say observability is the most fundamental way how we can learn and react to our surroundings. It's more related to how humans learn. And these are the following steps. First, we observe our surroundings with our sensory input, like our eyes, our ears, or when we try to touch something. We learn to recognize patterns and we store the learned information somewhere. Typically, with humans, we store this new knowledge in our minds. We create tags and we try to assign these tags to objects to categorize different kind of things that we have learned over the time, and we are constantly iterating on this on the process. So, if you're watching me, you provide the sensory input like your eyes and your ears. If you find my example useful, then you may store this information in your memory, in your mind, and you can use this later. Now I just need to show you the pattern to recognize the required tags that you can assign to specific part of the concept, and I will try to iterate on the process to show you different perspectives around this concept. So, the pattern of observability. I try to make this very minimal, so it's just containing 3 boxes. One box will provide the information to the second box, which will send this information to the third box. So let's assign text to it. So what text? We have the observed, something that we want to find metrics about it. We grab this information from the observed with our sensory input, like I already said, with your eyes, with your hearing or your smelling or something like that. And we have the observer. Humans are typical observers in this process, and the observer will try to create some kind of a report, and it will produce an output as a report. I hope you can follow this. So let's try to find some examples for observed objects. Observed object can be what we can find in nature, like trees, animals, or something we love, cars. We can observe people, servers that are running on our local machine or in the cloud. We can observe logs produced and stored on a server. And we can even try to observe different kind of products like selling prices and so on. So what can be an observer? Observer typically are humans that try to understand their surrounding. But we can think about governments as an observer as well, because they try to observe the behavior of their citizens, and this way they can help their everyday life. But a salesperson is an observer as well in a company. He or she can observe the selling of the product, and he can produce a report out of this, and we can use this. The company can use this later on. But observers can be software and servers as well, because servers runs the softwares that required for observability. So what kind of reports we have? The most basic one is our own memory. Memory is about things that we have already experienced. And we can think about a report like a text report that we fight to the government, and the government store this report. Or a dashboard that is useful for a salesperson. Or logs produced by software. Or a CSV report, or a JSON, or a docx document, or PPT presentation. These all can be examples of a reporting tool, reporting output. So, okay, we created a report, but a report on its own is not really useful for us because we probably want to use it later on the road. If somebody asks you about, hey, did you do your tax report last year? Then you have to think about, if you don't store this information somewhere, I don't know really, so I need to do this reporting right now, and maybe I will do unneeded task over and over again. But imagine that you don't have long-term memory, then everything that you are experiencing is lost for you for the future use. So this is why we need a data store where we can store these reports. Okay, but let's continue this process. So we have a data store. We have a bunch of information inside of it, and now we can try to figure out a different way how to make a sense of it. So we have our input, and we can categorize it. So this is a tree, so it's a natural object, and this is a paper, so it's probably some human-related stuff. So we are creating tags, and we are assigning these tags to objects. We can pass this tagging down to the observer, and next time when the observer tries to send you this report, this information, then this tag can be automatically assigned to it. Okay, but when we have our tags and we recognize different kind of information, then we can try to figure out a pattern that is assigned to a specific input, and with this pattern we can fine-tune our findings on the process. So, in my view, this is observability in a nutshell. We have an observed object, we pull metrics out of it from our sensory input. The observer will collect this input and create a reporting that it will send it to a data store. The data, in the data store, we try to create tags, and when the observer is trying to send another input, then this tag will be automatically assigned to it. And if we find a correct pattern to recognize something, this can be applied to the observer on the beginning. So, my definition, observability is a process to collect metrics about unobserved entities and create a report about its findings. I think this is a very simplified way how we are building our knowledge base. So, to be honest, you should be able to recognize another pattern like here. So, an observed object can be a log file. The observer can be a software, and it will produce a log file. So, a software that collects metrics from logs can produce output as a log. What does this mean? The output of an observer can be an input to another observer. And this way we can chain observers together. This is called piping or pipelining. So, okay, I have chained the observers together, and what if when this chain breaks, the pipeline when it's broke? Well, the most obvious case, well, this is a basic example with developers. When I go out to the kitchen and try to find coffee for me, as a developer, I will find two reports that either I'm out of coffee, then I should create a new coffee, or I have some and I can drink and continue my code making. So what this means? This means the result of a report can affect our next step. This is called a trigger. When an event occurs, it can trigger an alert and motivate us to do something about it. Like, I have a natural trigger that I'm thirsty, so I need to drink. If I don't have this trigger, then I don't need to drink. By the way, have you ever heard about event-driven development? This is the basics of it. So, okay, can we have multiple observers? Yes, we can have. And this way we can parallelize the information gathering and processing. But one thing I want you to remember. In this example, we have multiple actors that are building a shared knowledge base. What if one of the actors it's misbehaving? Well, this case we can assign a tag to the misbehaving observer and limit their access to the data store. As you can see here, it's highlighted. Tags are important and it can limit the access. To remember this concept, I'm not a native speaker, so when you try to get a loan from the bank and you have your loan creditability, okay, so it's a score assigned to you which tells the risk of your payback behaviors. This score can be increased or decreased over the time. Like when you apply to a loan and you pay it back regularly, then your creditability score is going up. But if you stop paying your loans back, then your credibility goes down, because the banking system gives you a tag that you are not a good paying customer, and next time maybe you will get less money, or the bank will increase your interest rates. So this is why tagging is very important, and it's an essential part. So it's not only to categorize information to have a more efficient access to the information, but with tags we can trace the source of the information, and it can be a way to limit the access to a resource, or control access to a resource. If you don't have the tag, like you are an employee to a company, then you are not allowed to enter the building. So, okay. Let's talk about a bit about inputs. So, in the previous example, I was trying to give you the importance of taggings, but there is another important thing, and that's our patterns. We can have many inputs, but if we cannot understand the pattern, then we cannot work with the information. For example, in biology, can my eyes receive ultraviolet light? Yes, it can, and it even does every minute, but I don't have a way to recognize this pattern because my biology didn't develop this pattern recognition. So let's see a more technical example. If you try to read this line, and if you are not know the HTTP protocol, then this line probably means nothing to you. But if I try to give you the pattern, like the GET is the HTTP method, how we try to send the information. This slash is the pass under the website, like Google / something. Then, and the HTTP / 1.5 is the protocol and the protocol version. Maybe this will make a bit more sense to this information. Okay, we see and learn patterns everywhere, but are they correct? We can rely on patterns. I try to find a good way to illustrate this, and the most obvious one is the optical illusions. Here I found this checker shadow illusion on Wikipedia. You can find it, and you will be able to view this in the description as well. So we have A and B here. When you try look at it, this is completely different. They have different coloring. Yeah. But if we want to check it really, then we will see that A and B have identical colors, and we see it differently because our pattern recognition. So the pattern recognition can lie to us. Let's see another technical example. The following line is an Apache access log line. So if we try to understand it, this probably an IP address, I don't know, this looks like a timestamp. Oh, here is an HTTP request. Okay, well, yeah, I know what this means. But here I see this part of the line, and oh, it looks like it's a website link. And here we have other things like this string. Well, it can say something, but it's not really important to us. So yeah, we can identify that this is probably around an HTTP request, and it says something like this: who is domaintools.com, saying something, but actually this part of the logline is called the HTTP referrer. And when you try to navigate from one site to another through a link, then your browser will fill this information out and send this information to the next website. So this is kind of useful information around from tracing back if the how it's called, where our traffic comes from. So this visitor came from the Domain Tools website. Not necessary. When I try to use a browser, that is not going to fill this information, because my browser is going to fill this information. Or I use a solution that I can fill this information with random things, then I can do interesting stuff. And here is a CVE that is describing this yeah, so it was a CVE on the internet. So what this was is like there was an exploitable tool, and when I tried to send a raw HTTP request to it, I can fill out the GET request, set the host, and I was able to fill the referral string with my random stuff, and the observer that was trying to understand who was referring my site, it exploited this weakness. So the takeaway with this slide is to learning and maintaining patterns can be a challenge, even with our natural mind, or even when we try to make this available to a software, or try to teach this pattern recognition to others as well. I hope what I try to show you will help you to recognize and understand the observability pattern in the future. And when I try to, learn or understand a new tool, then I try to understand its different components and try to fit into my to this observability pattern that I showed you. And this way I can see the different parts of this tool set as Lego pieces, and I can now try to mix it and use the individual components that where it feels right to use them. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this video and learned useful information about this concept as well. And yeah, I try to make more learning materials about this concept in the future, because I was like, when I tried to create this recording and creating the script for it, like, okay, I could talk about the sync clients where this pattern is deployed and things like this. So I hope I will be able to show you more things that you can learn and understand this concept in your daily life as well. So I was Zoltán Toma, and see you next time. Bye.